G'day and welcome to the Team SFF show. Rob Borsak Jr. here, and this week we've got some fishing from our hunting camp down on the Victorian border on the Mighty Murray. Now, the other fellas went out hunting, and Brian Boyle and myself were in camp looking after the two young fellas, and they got sick of fishing, so we took over for them, and we decided to film a bit of a conversation. We had some interruptions from the two young boys, so we cut those out. And in the end, they'd kind of had enough and blew up the whole thing we were doing. So we've got about half an hour here for you. So enjoy, and we will see you next time. Righto, let's see what we can catch with this little kid's fishing rod.
Well, can't get more Australian than being on the Murray River fishing for mud sharks, can it?
Fishing for, yeah, I know, right? At least they haven't got herpes.
Not yet.
Was it herpes I'm going to get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be the cure-all, you know.
Yep.
What the Greens call novel solutions.
Yeah. You remember that Barnaby Joyce clip where he's in Parliament going, we're going to give all the fish carp. We're going to give all the carp herpes. We're going to kill all the carp. Get rid of all the carp. And he was, agriculture minister then or something. And his heart wasn't in it. He was just saying it. He knew it was a joke, what he had to read out, so he just turned it into a joke.
Yeah.
Because that's got massive ramifications, doesn't it?
Well,
if they drop something like that into the
if it's species jumps, you know, it's a bit like, you know, these EHD and all these other things. Unfortunately, they keep developing, and all they got to do is change a little bit and jump species, and it's massive risk. All of this stuff is.
But it's different with fish than like with Khaleesi and with.
No, it's not actually, because Khaleesi and Mixo, you know, they're species specific. But once you start mucking around with this gene technology stuff, you don't know if it's going to jump. A bit like that stuff that's chronic wasting disease in the US.
Yeah,
it's just.
Oh, is that a result of that? Is it?
Well, it's possibly came out of an experimental station. So
interesting. I didn't know that.
You know, so you get into this gene warfare stuff, and where does it stop? The other thing is you've got the whole moral thing. Like New Zealand could produce something that kills possums, you know, just wipes out possums.
Yep.
But, you know, you may have some idiot who decides, well, they don't want possums in Tasmania, and they bring it back to there. You know, just like they introduced the farmers introduced the Khaleesi virus illegally into New Zealand.
Did they?
Yeah. So once the genie's out of the bottle, and then it could get up to the mainland, you know. So
yeah.
These novel solutions are fraught with risk. They really are.
Yeah. So we know that the carp have taken over. Like, I'm sure this was not, like, every spot of this river where the carp are, it's now a muddy mess.
Yeah.
So it would have been a lot more pristine.
The rivers must have been completely different, because one, you read the historical accounts, and two, I did frog surveys all through northeast Victoria. There's a little thing called spotted tree frog, and it's an endangered species, and you're way up in these high country streams, and you think there's no way, it looks like carp habitat, and you see carp in them. So they go right into the headwaters, and they go right down to, you know, where the salt starts. So.
Yeah. Look, it's not as interesting, but I saw in Sydney, in Sydney Park, in the middle of Sydney, they had a beautiful, you know, that was just a side note, that people rag on landfill. I think landfill's awesome, but that's just me.
Yeah.
They turned the rotten landfill into a beautiful waterway, which was supposed to be impossible because it's so toxic, but anyway. And they had swans nesting there a few years ago, a pair of black swans, which was never heard of. Beautiful crested crane was down there too in Sydney Park, and obviously people coming to feed the eels and feed the fish and all that sort of stuff. Beautiful. And then we've noticed in the last 12 months that some genius has put carp in there. So it was all full of water reeds.
It's all gone now.
All gone. It's just a complete muddy mess.
Yeah.
And as soon as you can't see through the water, whereas the eels used to come out under the dock. They come out, you'd feed them, you'd see them, big ones, 5 foot long eels. And then now it's just taken over with carp, and you can't see through the water. And all the water reeds died because they're not getting any light through.
Yep. Well, really need to start again, need to rotenone the lot. There is a poison you can put in there. Just kill everything, start again.
Yeah. Not yet, mate. Not yet.
Trying our hardest.
We're trying our hardest, don't worry, boys. Yeah. I'm obviously going to cut that out, but it's good to have the kids here.
Yeah. Well, we could say, look, I've been coming to this place for nearly 25 years now, and it's
Yep.
the river has improved. They took out a lot of willows here, and you're starting to see platypus here again.
Yep. Amazing.
It just shows you, like you have a look across the river there, and the willows are back. So pest thing is not a once off. That's what the greenies don't understand. They think this, you'll fly around in helicopters and shoot and it'll go away. No, it's
that's the other thing. Like someone like you who knows all about proper flora and fauna. People look at the bush and think, gee, that looks beautiful, but you could be looking at completely introduced species of trees.
Yep, and it's massively changed.
And it should not be there, right?
But the whole flora of Australia is changing all the time. I really am interested in this megafauna stuff that's happening all over the world, and the fact that we're now looking at the environments that are, the bush and the ecologies all around the world, and they've changed in the last 10,000 years because we've removed megafauna from North America, removed them from New Zealand. They had giant birds over there. And so the bush actually used to be, and we had megafauna here in Australia, and there was a 350 kilo hard hoofed animal here in Australia.
What was it?
Oh, I don't know, but it was a big round looking thing. It looked like a giant armadillo type thing. But
okay.
So there are some scientists that are really starting to question about whether the environment as we know it is natural, and it's not, because humans have been here for 60,000 years or whatever thousand years. And they changed the environment, and they also, whether the megafauna that was here was going to go extinct, or they tipped it to extinction because they're very slow reproducers.
Yep.
And then you look at the grasses. You've been to the Northern Territory.
Yep.
You look at those grasses. They're not designed for. They're not a grass that kangaroos and wallabies eat unless it's burnt. Things that eat them are bulk feeders like buffalo and really large animals. Like they had 300 or 400 kilo bloody wombats that were wandering around, and kangaroos, giant kangaroos. So that is a flora there that's out of sync with. It hasn't, the flora and the animals haven't actually caught up and really meets. They call it a new balance, but it was balanced based upon burning and very frequent burning. Yeah. And then the animals can actually eat, the fresh green shoots, but the giant stuff.
But you mean natural burning, like naturally occurring burning,
or you mean human burning? Yeah.
Human burning. So the humans that were there helped form that natural cycle.
Yeah, and they were pretty good at burning. They really knew how to burn different areas so that it gave the best results. I was really surprised working in Arnhem Land, and I was in Ramingining, and they showed me a map that some scientists had put together based upon the way the locals burnt, and it was and then they related to geology and soil types and vegetation types, and it basically the burning maps traced around those types, and they burnt those things at different times of the year. So it had the least impact on the things that they're bush tucker. Yep. So but unfortunately a lot of that culture has been lost in places, and the real challenge of doing cultural burning across all of the landscapes we have down here is we now have infrastructure everywhere in the bush. Yeah. And a lot more people, and you can't do the burning and the patch burning at the scales. It will cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to do it at those scales. So unfortunately you have to do it in industrial scales like you see here, and you drove over that road yesterday. We went out towards the back here, out the back of Thalgla, and those forestry roads are vitally important for fuel and fire management. We have you look across the river there and we're in New South Wales, and we have a way of thinking that pristine landscapes need to be national parks, and they need to be this thing called wilderness without roads and tracks. But unfortunately, once you lose that, you actually lose control of the environment, and basically you're responding to wildfires.
Yeah.
You're responding to, conditions rather than actually controlling it anymore.
Yep.
It becomes reactive rather than actually management. And, they won't like, but the amount of effort that we need to control our burning and our fuel loads is just massive. And Robert, in Parliament asked that question a couple of years ago after some big fires. We asked, of the 20 or whatever, the millions and millions of hectares, I think they're 20 million hectares, how many hectares have you burnt getting ready for the fire season? And the answer we got back in Parliament was 65,000 hectares had been burnt. And I just went, 65,000 hectares for when you control, 10% of New South Wales? It's not even a start.
It's just irresponsible, isn't it?
Well, there's a trout just popped up over there.
Where was that?
Just straight out from me here, 12 o'clock, about...
Past that fast water?
Past the fast water, and about 5 metres into that quiet water, a trout came out and took a fly. Well, it's not just... We keep creating, we close down state forests, shut off all the tracks, create these vast areas. I actually believe the concept of wilderness is actually a racist concept.
Yeah.
You've worked with Indigenous peoples on country, and there's no such thing as wilderness to them. It's all country that they've been through, they walk through, or it has sacred sites or cultural sites or whatever.
Like you would think of as a part of our suburb, or
it's just
you wouldn't call our suburbs wilderness.
No, it's just the concept is bonkers. It really is, and I think at its heart it's actually racist. But
I can see that angle.
Yeah. It's the terra nullius thing. So,
well, that's unfortunately what we get is they get that kind of simplistic treatment, European-based thinking, European-based ideology. Because, and the people that are doing it because they actually do look down on those people, and they're the ones telling us that that's what we do.
Yeah, they're being paternalistic, or these days it's maternalistic.
Yeah, but they tell us that's what we do.
Yeah,
and then we try to introduce some common sense and proper learning, and if it overlaps with their base ideology, then they they end up putting themselves in a pretzel.
Well,
where they end up calling people, they call all the land we come to we have to be welcome to all the land that we go to, and yet, no, I know how to manage it better than you.
Yeah. Well, we see that in the office when some of the Aboriginal land councils come in. Well, all of them, they are very frustrated with the left. Yeah. Because they get the land and then they can't do anything with it. They can't do housing. They can't.
Yep.
All the left wants to do is create it into another Indigenous protected area, which does nothing. I saw Indigenous protected areas in the territory, and basically, it's hailed as saviours for some of these communities. Well, one community I managed, this area was probably 5 million hectares and 600 people in the community, and you got an IPA over it, and it employs 6 people. That does nothing for the community.
Yeah.
It's bonkers. It's just, you with the carbon stuff, you get them on board, and the carbon will make it, they have carbon projects up there, so if you burn at the right times of year, it's less intense fire, so you're putting less carbon in the atmosphere, so you can actually earn money that way. And it's a, but, you have to keep so much money in reserve in case you have a really bad year, because then it may actually cost you because you put too much carbon in. So there's this balance going on all the time. And then Yeah, look, it's very challenging when you start burning for carbon. You're not necessarily burning traditional way, even though you might have indigenous people on board helicopters.
Yep.
You're burning areas. In one area that I worked in, they actually wanted to get back out on horseback and do it on horseback, and because they thought that the fires from the helicopters were too intense.
Yep.
And too widespread. They weren't patchy enough. And I think the horses, and some of their stories, I learnt a lot from just, they talk about, they don't want to burn along the rivers too intense because, the small rivers and creeks, that you actually need the cover of the foliage cover to keep the area cool so it doesn't evaporate as much. So those water holes are still there. So that's important for both the people and for their turtles and their fish that are in it, their food supply. Now, I really learnt some interesting points about fire management just from people talking about it at some of our meetings. I went, oh shit, I had no idea. And that's where these stories about mermaids being in the water, they talk about, or people that live in those corners, it's to protect the vegetation, some of the stories and things that they have in the rivers and creeks.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, right. Money. Oh, here we go. It's a wood duck?
Yep, correct. Chianata jubata.
Chianata jubata. That's what I like about you, Brian. You know all that stuff. My only data point on the wood ducks is that they're a pygmy goose.
Yeah, no, not a pygmy goose. They're a maned goose. Pygmy geese is two different species we've got up north.
What does that mean, a mad goose?
It's a maned goose. It is in the goose family.
Maned goose. Sorry.
Yeah. They're in the geese. They're in the sort of geese family.
Yes.
But because they're grazers. Yeah.
Get one of those trout, mate. Come on.
Yeah, well, that's close to it. Ooh. I was mad on birds before I got into deer.
Yeah, right.
Because that's all you have in New Zealand. I actually wrote to the Wildlife Service and said, I want to do something, because it used to have the New Zealand Wildlife Service back in the Internal Affairs.
Yep.
And I was really I collected all the bird cards, and my dad was a duck shooter, so I love the ducks and all that, but I love the birds.
Yep.
And then it's been great to see what's happened with, the bird scene in New Zealand and, the conservation hunting stuff that goes on over there. It's just...
Yeah, is it the Blue Duck Foundation and the
Blue Duck Foundation, Wapiti Foundation, Sika Foundation,
hand in hand, yeah,
and all these care foundations, they're involving local iwi as well as hunters. Yeah, shitloads of hunters doing stuff. But I just let that truck go by. Gee, they must have a bit of grass going on.
Yeah, he's dumping grass out over there.
Yeah, he's doing his hay bales.
Now's the right time. While it's wet and green.
Yeah, they got the heat and the wind.
Yep. Well, while it's wet and green.
Yeah.
Sell that grass, mate. You make plenty of money up north.
Oh, he needs it. He's got a big dairy herd, that guy.
He's got a big what?
Dairy herd.
Ah.
Yeah, he's for when it gets a bit hard here. But he can grass. This guy, because he's got irrigation, grows all year. He might be selling that stuff. But he's got a fair few dairy cows. Yeah.
So the blue duck is the Fio.
Yeah, that's it.
So they came back from the brink.
Yeah. Well, they were. I think they were down below 1,000.
Yeah.
And it's all based upon their breeding success. It's the stoats and rats especially, but stoats, they're an amazing bird. They're one of the forms of torrent duck. So there's some in South America as well. Yep. And they actually feed on invertebrates in very fast flowing rivers. Okay. Yeah. So they're not dabbling duck or anything like that.
So they're very specialised.
Yeah. But they're a beautiful bird, and
they're beautiful.
Yeah, and their name Fio is the way they whistle. They do that whistle noise. Yeah, I've seen them, and I followed them down in the flood one time. We were lifting a tapu on a track that hadn't been walked for 100 years after a massacre in New Zealand. I got asked to walk with the iwi guys who were lifting it, being a dock representative. And, it was bloody interesting walking with them. Jesus, they were doing a karakia thing. They were doing this song, and they said there should be tracks up here. they did another bit of a song, and they said there should be some steps up here, and then there should be a really big totara tree up here, and these things were there. These guys hadn't walked it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then it bucketed down with rain, so we were racing the floods down the west coast side. So we walked from the east coast, from Lake Coleridge, over and came out at Hokitika. It was a bit of a walk.
Wow, there's a bit of a walk.
Yeah, I was fit then. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool, and that was pretty cool about the culture.
Yeah.
And I'm just going with the thing, because I got a little bit of Marimi, but I've never had any connection with it.
Yeah.
These guys did, and they could speak it, so it was quite cool.
Yeah.
It was really nice. We went to the headwaters of one of the rivers, and it was a little lake there, and they had a little bit of greenstone. They washed in it and blessed it and gave it to me as a token. It was really nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Look, that's what's so interesting about New Zealand, how they're a place where everything's introduced, because as you said, it's mainly just birds. So there's none of that medium-sized fauna.
Yeah.
And obviously it's a outdoor mania in New Zealand. And there's something about the people that settled there. What were they, Germans and British?
British, Scots, Irish.
Yep.
There was not a lot of Germans until probably later, but it was definitely...
So was it just the big just the big Scots and Brits, because they're monsters? Just look at the All Blacks.
Yeah, well, when the All Blacks first went back to England, they laughed. I remember reading this thing about one of the first tests back in England, and there was this giant Englishman who was about 6'2", and they all laughed when he walked out because how big he was, and then the All Blacks walked out and they were all that size.
Yeah.
Because it was the fact that they got protein when they went to New Zealand. Protein restriction as well as genetics, but it does restrict size, and then once you look at with the genetics with the Polynesians, and
yes,
and you got it's the same with a lot of humans is the same as with deer and with cattle. You need 5 generations to maximise for your genetic potential.
Okay.
So we haven't seen the best of the
All Blacks yet. Oh, holy moly! Don't say that. We haven't seen the best.
Yeah, but
thanks.
But what about South Africa? Oh my God!
I know.
69 kilos.
Yeah, well, they're definitely their own. They're indigenous, because that's another question, right? How do you classify? At what point does a population become indigenous? So if you say, like how we say Aboriginal people were the first people here, but we trace them back to 60,000 years. So is 60,000 years the cap? Is no one under 60,000 years indigenous? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, there would have been people. So that's the thing I find amazing is the Polynesians travelled all over the Pacific, and yet there's not a lot about their contact in Australia and what they would have traded or done, because they went as far as I'm quite interested in the Polynesian stuff. I've done a little bit of reading. They went as far as Easter Island, Hawaii, and went right round into the Indian Ocean. They were sailing far and wide. There's Polynesian remains in Bali.
Wow.
The indigenous thing is, and just being indigenous and having a connection with the land is interesting. It's some people I guess feel it. It's funny, I don't feel a lot of connection with possibly my background in New Zealand, but when I looked out on an island where one of my ancestors came from, I was quite. It was quite interesting feeling to look out on Kapiti and Mana Island and think that's where some of my ancestors lived and did stuff. So as well as there was a white fella who lived out there and was taken in by the Maori guys and then married into that family.
Yeah, right.
And he was an interpreter for the treaty, so it was quite interesting.
Look, I definitely feel a connection to Australia. I remember being a young man, played a rugby season over in Ireland, and having a good time. Wasn't thinking about home. It was great. It was freezing cold, but it was fun playing rugby. And then I was on the train one day going somewhere, and on my iPod, Working Class Man came on, and I was in tears. I was homesick all of a sudden. Yeah. So
Well, this is home to me now. Like, I've been here more than I've lived in New Zealand, and I remember someone telling me, when you come back to Australia after you've been away for a while and you smell eucalypt, because that's and you do smell it in the bush.
The bush smells different, eh?
Yeah, and in New Zealand, for me, in beech forest, it's that beech forest smell, and the water tastes different over there.
Yeah, it does.
And you got a very similar taste in Tassie when you go into those beech forests. So when I worked at Lake St Clair,
there is a real feeling that Tassie is like New Zealand.
Well, it's Gondwana.
Yeah.
It's got that Gondwana feeling. So it has more Gondwana than the mainland. The mainland has, changed too much. There's not many. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the North Island of New Zealand didn't rise out of the sea, but the South Island did. Is that correct? Oh, I think they both did, because they both had the fault going through them. But the North Island has more volcanic activity.
Yep.
But, like Banks Peninsula was a result of an ancient volcano. But whereas the fault goes, the Alpine fault goes right up through the South Island, top end of the plate, is in Nelson, and then goes across, to Wellington. That's why Wellington.
Well, that's why I think it, because the mountains are so much higher.
Yeah, it's different. That's because the Alpine fault's pushing there. And it's more active. It's going up it used to go up about an inch a year.
Okay.
So,
geez, our mountains keep getting higher, eh?
Yeah, but they get worn down. So, and Australia is so ancient, the Kakadu, you go there, and they worked out from the rate of wear that those mountains there were almost as high as the Himalayas at one stage.
Wow.
But it's just been worn down.
So what wears them?
Just weathering, rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, just rain, just wears it out. These mountains here are old because they're rounded. As the older it gets, the more rounded it gets. So this is an ancient land. New Zealand's only 65 million years old. There's rocks in Catherine Gorge, that are 500 million years old before life. They got rocks in there that were formed before life began on Earth. This place is ancient.
Yeah,
ancient. Yeah.
That's why they were finding dinosaurs in Australia, because it's old enough.
Yeah. I think they found some sort of dinosaur remains recently in New Zealand, in some rocks.
No, really?
Yeah, I think so. I was reading about it.
If it rose out of the sea, how did that happen? Sorry. So when the faults were closer.
Yeah, or it must have been low lying stuff.
So when you say the Gondwana.
Yeah, it might have been Gondwana land remnants.
So a fragment of New Zealand may have been part of that landmass.
Oh, it was.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah, so the beech forests in Tasmania and some parts of I think there's some beach here, because they're nothofagus.
Yep.
So you get them in Tasmania, you get them in New Zealand, and you get them in South America, in Chile and Argentina.
And they get eucalypts too?
Yeah, eucalypts go up through Malaysia.
In South America though, don't they?
Probably introduced there.
Oh, I thought they were native there too.
Yeah, it might be a sort of more acacia type thing.
Well, I know they have marsupials in South America.
Yes,
so we're definitely...
That's from the pre-Gondwana, so that was when it was Pangea, I think, so...
Because I remember hearing that Australia was the only place with marsupials, but they have them in...
they got possums, yeah. Yeah, ancient possums. And the other common factors are the giant birds, the ratites, like you've got emus, you had the rheas.
Yeah, mate, over here.
Yeah, you've got... Yeah, remus.
Hang on, I'm getting
rheas,
called.
ostriches, all that sort of shit. I thought I was having a bite there. What do they do? Oh, we're going to have to get them dinner.
We will, yeah. Hang on, stay there. What's up? That's it for this episode. If you like what you heard, give us a follow and share with your mates. And if you don't, you're probably from the Greens. We'll catch you next time. And remember, speak up, stand up, and keep your powder dry.